Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm Patricia Olson. I'm the host of the Preppy Podcast. And I have to say, looking out into this crowd, everyone looks so stylish. I haven't seen like as many stylish men and women in a room as this. And special thanks to Dillards, of course, for this. So first, I want each of you to go down the line and let everyone know your name and your brand would be great. You want to start?
Sure. My name is Damaris Bailey. I am based out of Los Angeles, California, born and raised. We really focus on romantic, feminine designs. One of my specialties is designing my own prints. I obviously get a lot of inspiration from florals and flowers and colors. And my background is in art history, so I pull a lot of inspiration from art as well. We manufacture most of our product in Los Angeles, but we're also manufacturing in India. And that's just my quick little spiel.
I'm Mollie. I'm the CEO and creative director of Crosby by Mollie Burch. And we are women's, ready to wear, really just known for our fun, bright, bold use of color. Our prints, I also design all of our prints. Very different vibe than Damaris, but are all the same. And we'll be celebrating 10 years of business this year. So, yeah.
I'm Morgan Hutchinson. I'm the co-founder of Buru with my husband who's over there. We're based in Los Angeles, family owned, operated. We have a factory that we built there. We also have overseas partners as well. And we say traditional with a twist. Everything has some type of nod to women in my own life. So like our car coat, which is one of our signature pieces, was created after my grandmother's wedding coat that she wore when she left the church. And yeah, that's who we are. We love color, obviously.
Hi, I'm Abby. I'm the owner of Abbey Glass, and we're based in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm so happy to be here. And we really focus on the art of dressing up and life's special occasions. And my background is in women's tailoring, and I just love an evening gown. So that is what we're all about. And I started out in custom evening wear, and so really started the ready-to-wear line to make something special that felt custom, accessible to all. And Dillards has really kind of like extended all of our brands to so many more people. So this has been amazing for us.
Hi, I'm Parul. My brand is Momaya. I'm from Singapore. That's where I started the brand. And everything, all the prints are my own prints. Slightly different from all of us, but everything is block printed. And it's made in India. And I just try to do block print, but with a twist and modern silhouettes. So.
Amazing. Well, you guys are all so talented, so I'm so happy to be here. Let's start off. Let's start off with an easy question. I want each of you to describe your brand in one word. So first word that comes to mind, what would you say?
Romantic.
Fun.
Happy.
Elegant.
Crazy.
I love this. Oh my gosh. Everyone's brands, there's so much color and detail in all of them, but everyone's so different. So I love that with the Coterie Shop, kind of brings everyone together and there's something for everyone. My first question actually is for you, Morgan, from Buru. So I noticed that styling is such a big part of your business. Like I look forward to when you have a new drop and you go on Instagram stories and you show just exactly how you're styling it, and especially mixing and matching. And you mix and match even with some of your past collections, which I think as a consumer is really important to show that, it's not something you're just wearing once and then getting rid of. You're re-wearing it, you're, giving it new life. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. Dillards is our only wholesale partner, and we were so careful in sort of choosing that. It was a very different strategy for us. We'd always been direct to consumer and a digitally native brand. And I remember in the first conversation, actually, I think it was Anne-Marie. I met her before I met Alexandra, and she used the word value, and that's really what the Dillards customer, was sort of like the top word she used. And for me, that's what styling does. it shows you that you can continue to wear these pieces in ways that you love them. And when I'm like doing my try-ons and selling a new collection, I always say shop your closet first, because we all have so much. We have too much in a way. But if you know that this one piece, like for example, this is a coat that has a matching dress, but you can belt it and wear it as a dress. I also, because I only exclusively wear Buru, some of the styling is maybe a little bit self-serving because I don't want to get tired of it. You know, I live and breathe our brand every day. And I actually worked as a stylist when we lived in Beijing for 4 years. And it helped just to cultivate the idea and that an outfit is not permanent, right? So like when you redecorate your house, those feel like first world problems, stressful situations, but it's a decision you're gonna have for a long time. Your outfit, if you make a mistake, big deal. It's one day, just delete it off of Instagram if you feel like it wasn't cute later on. So I think take risks, play with your clothes, and don't hesitate to get them altered after you've worn them for a while. You know, a lot of times if we start with a maxi dress, that will become a midi, it will then become a short dress. So there's all sorts of ways you can reinvent what exists in your closet and have fun with it.
That's a great answer. And even as I was walking around this room, I love seeing how everyone was styling their pieces so different and ways that I wouldn't even think to do. Like Brittany, for example, I love this layered under an Oxford. So super great. So Mollie, your brand, like we said, is known for happiness and color. How do you portray that to customers when it's a feeling, but you're portraying it through clothes?
Gosh, that's a good question. You know, I think similar to what Morgan said, like living and breathing the brand is so important. And, you know, I think for us and for Crosby, like as a brand, we, you know, not only are we creating clothing, but we want to sort of create this Crosby world to invite our customers into. And that world is happy and fun and easygoing. And, you know, we want these feelings of like women feeling like they can really like celebrate who they are through what they're wearing. And one of our main taglines is, you know, getting dressed should be fun. And I think there's definitely kind of like this invisible string through all of our pieces that, you know, can kind of tie back to that sentiment. And then, you know, I think it is like a bit of a lifestyle too. Like you know, our pieces make people happy. They make people happy when you're wearing them. They, you know, if someone, the wearer feels happy, but then also I think, you know, you exude that happiness and others, you know, notice it as well and compliment the wearer, customer, you know, and kind of the joy that they're bringing to whatever environment they're in our pieces. So it's, you know, it's definitely always top of mind. I think just innately like my creativity and like my signature, you know, style has that sort of happiness, fun, just playful, elevated playfulness is kind of, you know, the vibe we strive to have. So whether it's some crazy big print or even just, you know, a little more subdued, solid or something, we're always thinking about how we can portray that.
Definitely. I mean, when you walked in, I can't help but smile when I look at all these beautiful colors and makes me want a vacation or warm weather and sunshine.
Yeah.
So Parul, I know that you grew up in India and you studied science actually at Georgetown, and then you made your way back into fashion. So I'm curious, what brought you back to fashion, and how do you think that your background, you know, kind of helped your brand and gave you a different perspective?
That's a really good question. So I guess I came full circle. It's what your parents want you to do, you don't want to do. So my parents were in clothing, and it was mostly winter. My dad and my mom, they had a factory designing, but it was more for wholesale markets and stuff. And I didn't want to be in fashion. And I thought my only way out to be independent would be science, and which is why I pursued, not because I was very smart or anything. It was like, that's my ticket out. And so that's why I did biotech. But then I actually really liked it. And then I went for my master's at Georgetown. And then moving to Singapore, I think it's different. When you say we live in our brands, I think it's a lot of us, when we start a brand or a design, it's out of necessity. So living in Singapore, I wanted nice clothes, but also affordable, and something that was sustainable, but in a way it's uniquely designed. You know, you don't see it everywhere. So I just couldn't find it. And because of my childhood in India and I always appreciated, we did travel a lot, and I appreciated different art forms in different countries. And for me, block print was such a beautiful technique. It's you're printing one piece and you're stamping over and over again. So you can't help but be sustainable because you can't make more than one piece at a certain time. So I thought maybe I'll play with it and started my own collection, which was a flop. And then it took another year to then find my way, because at first you're just doing everything. And then I found a peculiar way I wanted to do it, which suddenly people liked, and so here we are. So I came full circle, and now my parents are happy. So.
Oh my gosh, that's a great full circle story. And I love how your designs have a little bit of a twist. Like my friend Taylor in the front row here, her skirt, I love how it has the little slit peekaboo there, which I didn't realize at first, so it's fun. So Abby, you make the art of dressing up fun, I would say, with your brand. How do you ensure fit and perfection when it comes to finding the right fabrics depending on the silhouette or the body type?
Very good question. So a lot of our fabrics are wovens that don't have stretch in them, which is kind of like an old art. So if you look back many centuries ago when they made brocades and jacquards and people wore corsets, and dressing up was very hard, and there was a lot of like underpinnings. And what we aim to do is really kind of like bring that fabric forward in a modern way and make it feel easy and comfortable. And that's all about kind of like, where does a woman need ease? Where does she want something to really fit tight? And I think because I started out in custom dressmaking, you know, I was face to face with customers over and over and over again. And a lot of customers have certain things they want to hide or certain things they want to show off and be the, you know, the moment, like a décolletage or like a leg. And so I think over many years, hearing directly from customers on what they really valued and where fit really mattered really helped us, you know, hone that in for a mass customer and try and bring those opportunities to her, like a great sleeve or, you know, a fitted waist at scale. So it is very intentional with every design, and you know, it's a little harder than you know, something that stretches, but I think that's kind of like the beauty of it, is like that's the moment that you wear that dress, and it's not for every day.
Yeah.
So
no, it's beautiful. I love your big one shoulder bow dress. It's just perfection. You guys have to check that out. So Damaris, I know that you have a background in art history. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, is there a certain period that you're particularly drawn to, or maybe even with this new collection, something that inspired that?
So Impressionism is my favorite.
Okay.
But for this collection, I would have to say it was Dutch art, still lifes. Yeah. So this is one of my designs here, the Carmen dress. And this was designed after the print, after, you know, those Dutch, I'm sure you've seen still lives with the dark background and like the pears. And so that was the inspiration behind this collection. And usually with each collection, I imagine where she would wear this or where she would be. Okay. So for me, it was Italy, right? Like I just feel like in under the Tuscan sun, right? Yeah. Like what colors would she want to be wearing there, right? Not like a black backdrop, but like a clear cream with the sun. And so I envision all of that when I'm designing my prints. Okay. And yeah, just romance, you know, just like, where is she going with this dress? Where is she dreaming? Yeah. Because that's kind of like that's where I started. Like for me, it was more of like growing up, I just would imagine the life that I wanted and what kind, I just imagined this fantastic life and what would I be wearing, and it still continues to this day, always dreaming. Yes. Right? And what am I wearing, right? So that's where I start.
I love that. That's how I generally buy things. I'm like, this dress would be beautiful. Now I just need to book a trip to Italy and drink wine in Tuscany.
But I think the idea is that you don't realize that, but when you're wearing that dress, you feel like you're somewhere else, right? Yep. So it's kind of like you might not be in Italy, but you feel special. Yes. And that's kind of like what it brings, evokes,
Yes.
without even trying to evoke that. Yeah.
Yep. No, I love that. So, Morgan, I consider you a queen of collaborations. You have done so many great ones with influencers, with other brands. How do you determine who would be a good fit for your brand and then measure the success of those?
So about 2 years ago, every collab we've done has been just with wonderful human beings. And that's really where it starts. They're very organic relationships. They're people that we've known for a long time. And just, I'm not one to ask for something off the bat. I think you build an organic relationship and then you decide if it can go further in a fun way to be a deeper connection or partnership. I think having a point of view is really important. So we just did one with Palm Beach lately, and they have such a vision. They live the life that is portrayed on Instagram, 100%. And so it was so easy to come up with what the collection would look like, how we would photograph it, where we would have the event. So I think that point of view is very important. Maybe that's second to being a kind person, though. And I love when you can tell on those first calls if they're efficient. That's one of my favorite other qualities. And so probably one of the reasons that we partner with a lot of moms, because I do think when you have 3 children, or some cases more than that, you know how to get things done. They make decisions quickly. And then we want it to be fun and bring something to your closet that you currently don't have. I also think going forward in 2026, we do have a lot in line with other businesses, because I really love, as Brittany said, I love partnering with other women. And I think that there's ways to partner even outside of the box. Our biggest outside of the box was probably Preppy & Co. I'm from Kentucky originally. And I remember when we announced it, people were like, what? I mean, I guess she really likes bourbon, which is true, but I can no longer drink it. It doesn't work for me anymore. But it was such a wonderful collaboration. And once people understood, oh, wait, this is what you're wearing to the celebration, and that Preppy & Co. is really their product line. It's not just the bourbon side of it. Everyone understood it instantly. And so it gives you an opportunity to tell stories and to connect. And I think as we're all so driven by, the digital world, those collaborations feel like a way to truly connect.
Mm-hmm. No, that was such a fun collection. I remember seeing that. Those pieces are great. And I love what you said, that, it's sort of about the relationship first. And I think that's a thread that we've all talked about during this, is it's about relationships and building connections really between brands, between humans. So Mollie, you are a new mom, I know. How has that changed your business? And maybe do you have any tips on balance, whether you're a mom or not, just a tip on balance then?
Oh, goodness. No. No. I
feel like no one has this off yet.
Would love for someone to tell me the magic behind the balance. Yes, it is. I think, so I have an 18-month old, and, as I mentioned before, Crosby will be 10 this year. So, the first 8 years of owning and running the business, I did not have that, additional piece of my life. But so it's certainly been a different world to navigate. I think you learn. I mean, I've always felt like I've understood the value of time, but you really do learn the value of your time in a whole new way when motherhood is put into the picture. And I think, just the balance I'm definitely still working towards, but I do think, a really important piece of it is just giving yourself grace. I am an extreme perfectionist, and I don't like doing things that I'm not good at. And, I think for me, becoming a mom while running a business, it was like, okay, this is I'm not just the best I can be at both of these things at all times. And so, in the business piece, really thinking hard about what I can delegate, what are, where is my time best spent? Where is my time most valuable? And what are the pieces of this business that truly only I can do? And then trying to let some of the other stuff go, approving every single Instagram post that's going to go up, and, things like that it's at the end of the day, I think also just building a team who you really believe in and trust is so important. And I feel very fortunate to have that. But learning to delegate, and then that time with your child is just, it's so sweet and so special. And being a mom really is such an important job. So yeah, I don't know. It's still learning the balance piece, but I do think, just really giving yourself grace in that and knowing that every day is not going to be perfect. And I mean, just this last week, she learned how to hide, and it's like, who taught you this? But she just like disappeared in the house and was new to be quiet, like creepy new to be quiet and still. And, it's just, so it's like the little things like that I think it makes it all, obviously, like all worth it and so fun and a constant learning experience on both the business side and the mom side. But yeah, we're, just taking it day by day.
I feel like that's what everyone says is some days you can give, 70% to home life and 30% to the business, and other days it's the opposite.
Yeah.
And that's part of the understanding, and everyone goes through the same thing, right?
Yeah. And Morgan could definitely, many of these ladies, I'm sure, could speak better to how they're actually balancing and managing it, being
There's no such thing as balance.
Many more years into navigating both worlds.
So, Buru, I know sustainability is important to your brand. How do you manage that as you scale and grow your business?
That's a very good question. The thing is, there's a few things that I make sure we do, at least majority of. So one, the choice of fabric. I only use natural fabrics, cotton, linens, or silk. And then, so every piece is individually cut and then printed one by one. So, which avoid wastage, and then you only cut as many as you're gonna make, and then you use the rest of the fabric later. And then even with the ink that you put on stamping one by one, is you only make the amount of ink you need. So the thing is, it's say when the orders are bigger, you just need more time. And it's still all done handmade and hand printed. This type of things, you can't do it by machine or computer. So it's just, I think when it scales up, it just will require more time.
Yeah.
And more people.
More people.
Yeah. So we started from, this was, it's a proud story for the lady I started with too, who kind of pursued me, because after COVID, the factory I was working with, it didn't survive. And then one of the quality control girls there, she and her brother pursued me, said, try us, just give us a shot and we'll manage your factory. We set it up all together. So we started with 5 people, and now we had to double the size because thanks to Dillards. And yeah, so it's a lot of people now, and just hand printing one by one. So if it's bigger, and then more people, I guess.
I love hearing the sauce of how it's made, like all the individual steps and details. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it's every outline is one stamp, and then they have to find a way to fill the inside of it. So it's I try. I'm not good at it. I can tell them what to do.
So, Abby, we talked about fit and fabrication being such a part of your brand. How do you portray something that people feel to customers when they're shopping online, or you're not there shopping with them? I noticed some videos you do on Instagram. Is that kind of part of the marketing mix for you, or what does it look like?
Yes, marketing is ever evolving. I am not, I don't feel like I tell my story on Instagram best. I actually just started a Substack like 3 weeks ago that I'm really excited about, which is more long form, because I feel like I kind of have to go deep when I'm like getting into storytelling about the business, and it allows me to kind of write a lot and I love imperfect photos. I love the process. I love showing the decisions that we make and the hard trade-offs we make as we design. So follow, I think it's Abbey Glass Stack, which is our Substack. And that kind of shows a lot about kind of like what goes on behind the scenes. Because I think I love retail, and I think when you're in a retail setting and you can connect with somebody one-on-one, you can kind of share those tidbits about how things were made, or, oh yeah, we picked that color because it just like really sets off the other color from like a color theory standpoint, or this base color of this organza looks good on everyone. So, and not everyone can wear orange, but if you put pink behind it, everyone can wear it. Or there's just these decisions that you can share. And I think, when you look at marketing and e-commerce, sometimes you are leaving it up to like the perfect, making everything look so perfect. And so I think what will continue our success online and like creating that connection with our customers online is really letting them see the hard decisions that we make and why we make these decisions for them, which also circles back to custom, because when someone comes to you and says, please make me a dress, I can't find anything, you say, well, what did you try on that you liked? What did you try on that you didn't like? Why can't you find something off the rack? And you learn what's going on in their mind, and then you kind of problem solve with them. And I think if you can bring customers along for that journey of the problem solving, it builds trust. And they also like really say, you know what, this color, I can wear orange. Like I was afraid of it and now I'm gonna try it on, or I'm gonna order it because now I feel like you've got my back and you're making decisions for me because you're the expert. It's almost like we're not saving lives here, but you have to trust us to do what we're good at, which is design beautiful things that you'll love forever or that you'll feel confident in. So I think I know you're asking about marketing, but I feel like the trust is like at the basis of marketing. And I think if you can really lead with that can help you make the decisions of how you market.
Yep, 1,000%. Well, I'm excited to read your Substack.
I know.
I'm curious, how many people read Substacks or have a Substack up here and in the audience? I feel like I just keep hearing about Substack recently. Okay, interesting. So speaking about marketing and Instagram, I love your imagery on your social media. And I think that goes back to storytelling. And we talked a little bit about that. But can you tell the importance of great imagery to tell the story then of your brand and your designs?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. I love storytelling. I love movies. I love cinema. That's just like that's the dream world of mine, right? Like, so I work with Sarah, who's my best friend too, and she's we travel and we photograph my collection. And like I said, usually when I start with designing a collection, I think of a destination where, like, my dream destination where this person would wear this dress, and then I call her and I'm like, hey, I'm thinking of like this collection we shot in San Miguel Allende in Mexico. And I don't know if you've been, but it's like they call it the Europe of Mexico. Cobblestone streets, colorful, and just so elegant. And so I told her, we're gonna shoot it there. And then she's like, oh my gosh, yes. So I work with Hannah and we start looking at hotels and just kind of just imagining like what this person would do, where would she go? And one of the best things that happened while we were shooting this collection was that we were just walking down the cobblestone streets to shoot the dress somewhere, and I was just walking and I saw the cutest little shop, and inside was this painter, and he was painting these abstract paintings, this old Mexican man, and it was just so beautiful and so perfect. I'm like, we need to go in there. Yeah. So I told him, can I go in? Like, I knocked on the window and he's like, yeah, come in. He was wearing his apron, his painter's apron. Yep. And he was just telling us about his art and what inspires him in creating it. And then we walked in there and we started photographing the model. I'm like, do you mind if we start photographing her in here? And it's just kind of like, that's the world, right? Mm-hmm. That's like the storytelling. And it shows in the photographs what you're doing because it's genuine and it's authentic. And it's, like I said, evokes this emotion, right? And I think that that's kind of when we walk into Dillards or when we see a dress, you picture, where am I going to wear this dress? Mm-hmm. You always think of the setting. So you're already painting a story in your mind. So it's kind of like when you see that on Instagram, you're like, yeah, I want a piece of that, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's kind of where I go.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. I have to look up those pictures then in that art studio. That sounds amazing. So we just have a few more questions, and I'm going to ask them, and then whoever wants to answer or input, feel free. So the first question being, do you guys have any advice for someone just starting out with a brand?
I do.
Okay, let's hear it.
I think that it can feel really overwhelming. And so we give a lot of factory tours in LA. And some are to editors who are interested in the story, some are to women who are just starting out. And I always introduce them to Julia. This still will make me cry, even though I'm on hormone replacement therapy and it's supposed to be helping. She was our first hire. And then our second hire, I was in labor with Carlisle. So he's only 5 years old. So when you think about that, we only had 2 people just 5 years ago, and then we went through COVID. And I always remind them like it was one seamstress. And now we have 8,000 square feet, and there are 45 people who are in that space. And so when you come in and you only see the end picture, this is not going to be the end. I have a lot of other goals. But for right now, that seems like the end picture. It can feel so overwhelming. And so just like what you're saying, I always try to be really honest and upfront about, how we got started on our Instagram. I told Alex last night that I remember one of the first times we came to Charlotte for a pop-up, we stayed in the creepiest hotel out by the airport. It was like $70 a night. And I think sharing those stories too, it doesn't start bright and shiny all the time. And just thinking like within 5 years where we've gone just with our domestic production and making sure that you give yourself the opportunity to look back and dive deep into some brands that you know and respect. And if they're not sharing the hard parts, move on and follow someone else, because it's just not going to make you feel good. But the majority of these brands have seen rough days, still see them. And so if you're looking for inspiration, find someone who's really honest about it.
I have one other thing. I think I did not really understand how important team is until I made mistakes or like couldn't find people who like really saw my vision or like wasn't able to communicate my vision to other people. So I think you're going to need help. So finding people who see your vision, not just people who have the skills to help you. It's like people who really believe in what you have to say and what you're bringing to the world from entrepreneurship in general is the right person, not just someone who knows how to like pack boxes or take the trash out. It's like they need to like really know who you are and what you stand for and what you're trying to build and be like, yes, I want to do that too. And those are like the keepers. So
Yeah, for sure. That making a team around you that believes in your brand just as much as you do, right? So what trends are you guys seeing in terms of, it could be in marketing, it could be in technology, it could be in design. What's a trend you're seeing right now that people should look out for or consider?
I feel like more on the marketing, side of things. I think, everyone is just really like seeking connection and like that storytelling piece of the brand that I think so many of us have and portray in different ways with our brands. But, whether it's clothing or any product or service for that matter, like people are like craving connection to things. And like, I think, events like this are so incredible because they are, it's Dillard, y'all are as Dillards like facilitating such a great opportunity for these like in-person connections and hearing people's stories. And, you want to buy into a story and a person and, they're like what they, who they are, what they're building, what they believe in. I think far more than just a product. And I think that's, what sets the Coterie Shop apart, for example, in such a unique way is, they truly have our stories on these beautiful signs, in every one of their stores. And it's, you're buying into so much more than just a piece of clothing. And like, clothing, while it is emotional, I think, clothing can be very emotional. It evokes, feelings when you wear it, when you buy it. And more in like a memory standpoint too, even of like remembering what you were wearing for some special occasion or some special trip. But I think then like that going beyond that too, and also like knowing the story, knowing that first seamstress, whose hands were there making this garment for you. I feel like people are just really craving that sort of like connection and intentionality. And I think that also even goes back to when starting a brand, I think that's a super important thing to keep in mind as well. And like no one else is like you. Like you're, I think a lot of times like your biggest asset can be like you, yourself, and who you are. And so sharing that with the world and, that's so important.
You're your biggest asset, really.
Yeah.
So my final question, and I want to ask each of you this, so we'll go down the line, but what's something you're proud of for 2025 so far? Anyone want to go first?
Do you want to go in order?
Sure. You ready? I can't think of it. No? Okay. Do you want to go this way?
In 2025?
Yes. Did I say 2024? I might have. Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
So in the last 3 months.
Yes. Yeah. Or that you have like planned to come up.
Okay. I think it's just I'm just looking forward to. So this year I designed the craziest collection that I've done in terms of I just thought whatever I like. So I used to scuba dive, and Tiffany saw the collection. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have this ocean themed collection, which was a big risk because usually I'll tone it down a notch, but this time I was like, I'm not gonna do it. So I went ahead and did it. Partly because I took my daughter to the aquarium and I haven't scuba dived in a while. So I was looking at all these jellyfish. I was like, I need to come up with a print or something and do that. And I did, and I had people in Singapore saw it and they really liked it. And I guess you guys really liked it. So that's something I'm proud of. And also the silhouettes that I designed. So for example, the skirt you're wearing. So this was after I had my daughter and I started to hate the back of my thighs. So I was like, well, so now I have cellulite, okay. So I designed the slit, not here, but specifically to show the part of the leg that we all like. So not the back of it. So these are the things. So I've tried to do more with silhouettes and the prints in the last 3 months, and that's what I want to continue doing.
Amazing. I can't wait to see this collection with the
Thank you.
jellyfish. Abby, do you want to go next?
Sure. So I think what I'm like really enjoying right now and feel really proud of is kind of this return to me as an entrepreneur focusing on design. And I think it's really hard to do it all. So sometimes you feel like we've also been in business 10 years this year, which is kind of crazy. But you have seasons where you're really troubleshooting business and like, how are we going to grow? How are we going to make payroll? How are we going to get products from point A to point B? There's all these logistical things. And then I always called it like hiring myself for my dream job, but like being able to actually be the creative director and designer that I want to be and be able to have fun with the business. And so that's what I think 2025 is showing me so far, is that I can experiment, have fun. I love to vintage shop. Like I've collected so many things over the years, like go spend 2 hours trying on weird things at a vintage market.
In Paris.
Yeah, in Paris. Let's develop an organza in some weird colors that I don't know if it'll work out, but it's a risk. Like having to lean into that creative energy. And I just wrote, not to go back to Substack, but I just wrote about like how half of the things you design don't work out. And that's what design is. And I forgot about that, and I think being able to make all these mistakes and go through that path of like, oh, that's not good, but maybe let's try this color, like taking that time feels so good again. And I think that's what I'm really excited for in the future of the business. And this year is to have that time to make mistakes and like find that gem of something that works, but it shouldn't. And that's like the beautiful things that should live on, is the happy accidents and fun experiments. So I'm excited about that.
Get back to playing with fabrics and playing with design, for sure. What about you, Morgan?
So the one thing I'm most excited about is we're launching our own line of like fine leather accessories at the end of the year. So I'm excited for that. But I'm most proud of what our team did and accomplished during the fires in LA. So we sent over $500,000 worth of clothes to women specifically, individually catered to their size, and if they had comments about what color they wanted. And so that's what I'm most proud of, and I think it really brought our team together too in a way that felt really dark there. And so.
I think for us, I mean, like I said, our brand is all about like celebration and fun. And so we're really leaning into that this year with our 10th birthday being this year. So we'll have a really fun like birthday capsule that has some really special, just like intentional pieces. Every piece has kind of all these, little hidden gems and stories to them. We're bringing back like the very first print I did in our very first collection, and the other print has elements from like 20 different prints that I've done over the course of time. So it's very like sentimental and meaningful. And I think it's just this year it's been like already, and I think will continue to be such a time of reflection, both in like from more of like a business, digging into like the weeds of like analyzing what's working, what's not working, but also just kind of like a place of like, wow, like this is, I think gratitude is a big thing for me this year. And just like getting to experience that and try and stop in the moments, of the hard days or the, the highs or the lows, because it's definitely a roller coaster of that, but just kind of stopping in those moments, seeing all the good, remembering that like we have, it's not been an easy 10 years. We've gone through some stuff, as a world together. And so just, like giving, I think also just going back to the grace, but really like trying to have gratitude and lean into team and lean into like our core and like who Crosby really is, like where we started, where are we now, and just really kind of like taking time to reflect and build upon that of like what's ahead for the next 10.
I'm excited to see this print that you're going to bring back from the original
It's all
collection.
so fun. It's all really fun. We just got the samples in.
So I love that question, because there's so many times that we don't take that moment to say that we're proud of ourselves. But I'm mostly proud. This is our first year that we've actually partnered with such a big company such as Dillards, and we've just been direct to consumer most of our business. And so I moved my production overseas, and it was challenging. And there were times where I was like, oh my gosh, like literally crying, right?
Yeah.
But I'm proud that I didn't quit. I'm proud that I kept on going. And I'm proud that despite, us, we have children, and we all have children up here, and how hard that is with juggling both work. And I'm proud that I was able to prioritize my family first. And when I did that, it all worked out. Because if I'm happy at home, I'm happy at work.
Yes.
So I was proud of myself that I was able to recognize that that's what I needed in my own personal life, is to prioritize that first.
Yep.
And then everything just started kind of like, okay, that will, whatever happened in India happened, and that was a mix up, but I'll deal with it after. Anyways, their hours are late nights anyway, so I'll deal with later. Let me deal with Valentina's issue that's going on in school. And when I did that, I was able to then really just be present for that, and then be present for that later. Yeah. But it's when you try to do the both at the same time that it was just a mess.
Yeah. You have to take care of yourself first, I think.
Yeah.
Is what everyone
So
says.
I'm proud that I didn't quit. And I'm proud that I was able to deliver a beautiful product still. So that's what I'm proud of.
Well, you guys all have so much to be proud of, and it was an honor to be up here with all of you. And thank you guys for being here and listening. So next up, I believe, is shopping, right? All right. Well, thank you guys.